Hi guys! In today's video, I'm going to be doing slime wars and basically comparing Daiso clay with Model Magic clay, Glue'll with school glue, and all of the things that people kind of tend to choose between. Before we get into that, I just wanted to let you know that my guides are now available and I'm probably only going to sell them through the Christmas holidays just to make them exclusive, but I haven't properly decided yet, so I'll keep you updated. But anyone who buys any of my guides will automatically be entered into a prize draw to win a handwritten letter that will either be emailed to them or posted to them in the mail if they're comfortable with giving their address once contacted. This promotion will stop at midnight on the 31st, so right when it hits New Year's, it's going to stop. So you do want to buy before that to give yourself a chance to win, and 4 winners will be contacted. And obviously there's no delivery charge because everything that you have on my site is done online. So if you buy the videos, they'll be on a portal on my website, and if you buy the written guides, they'll also be internet files, which is perfect for last minute shopping during the Christmas season because you can get them for your friends or your family and also just get them as presents. There are 4 things for sale on my website, and my favourite one is the bundle just because it's such good value and you get money off every single guide. The guides that are included in this bundle and are also available for sale by themselves are the social media guide, which is basically my story and the techniques I use to grow my following and I really think will help. And there are also 2 slime guides. One of them is a written one. Both of them have really specific measurements for each recipe, so if you're ever kind of struggling with that, this will be really handy for you. And there's also a video guide, and both of them contain similar content but they have different things in them, so I really recommend buying both because they're kind of made to go hand in hand. The link to my website's in the description and I really hope that you find them helpful. The first slime war is between Elmer's Glue'll and Elmer's School Glue, and everyone kind of has a rivalry between these. The first thing I noticed when I was pouring out Glue'll was it had a really watery layer on top, whereas the School Glue was amazing, and I've owned them for the same amount of time. Both of them have been there for 7 months. My activator I'm using for both of them is borax solution, just so it stays a fair test, but this one is the Glue'll that I'm testing, and like you can see, it kind of turns lumpy, which is really weird. It kind of has like a cottage cheese texture, which is really gross if you think about it, but it didn't act like the other glues I've tried, and pretty much all of them reacted in the same way, but not this. It was super stringy. I then moved on to my school glue, and this worked so much better. It was just miles and miles better. It didn't turn lumpy, it just acted the normal way which a slime would, and I was using the exact same activator, so it was definitely the glue that was making this difference. And like you can see, this activated a lot quicker, and I think it might be because there was a tiny bit less glue, but it was just so great. My glue was really overactivated, so I left it in a warm room, and like you can see, it turned out so glossy and really thick. It didn't have great thwocks, I think it's because I overactivated it, but the school glue had amazing thwocks. As you can see, it's a lot thinner texture, but it's a lot more fun to play with. It just is more squishy. The next thing we're going to be testing is Daiso clay versus Model Magic clay, and I think Daiso is probably my favourite, but Model Magic is just so more convenient because it's so readily available. The first thing I noticed was that Model Magic actually needed scissors to open the pack, which is a minor thing, but Daiso was a lot easier to open. Daiso clay is a lot easier to mix in as well. It doesn't need any preparation, whereas Model Magic comes so stiff. Like you can see here, I can barely put my hand in it, and I have to add loads and loads of lotion, which is obviously making it a bit more expensive. I think Daiso from the original store retails for about $1, and Model Magic is for about $5 for a size of this pack, and obviously lotion is a lot more. So you do need to knead it in, and there is so much more effort that goes into this. But I always find that my slimes that include Model Magic last for so much longer than Daiso slimes. Daisos tend to melt down, but once they mix into the slime, it's so easy and I don't need to add any more lotion because so much has already been added into the clay that if there is any hardness, it kind of just won't last. And Daiso doesn't take as long to mix in, but it still does take a while. You need to kind of scrunch it up. That's the only way I can really do it. If there's another technique, please do leave it in the description because it always takes me forever, but it doesn't take me as long as preparing the Model Magic. The first thing that I noticed was that the Daiso clay really made my slime quite hard, and I didn't mind that because it was a sticky slime already, but I was kind of thinking that the stickiness would be counteracted slightly by the clay, but not loads. But as you can see here, it is quite tough, but not so tough that it makes it like not a slime and kind of rubbery. It just isn't very easy to spread. So I decided to add loads of lotion, and like you can see, it did take a while to kind of knead in just because there was so much, but it turned into a much smoother texture after that, and I really liked the effect. I was so impressed with the model magic though. This wasn't hard at all and it had such nice sounds. The next one was my favourite one to test, and this is clear glue versus gel glue, and I've never seen anyone do this before, and I've never actually tried gel glue before this, but it literally comes out like a hair gel. Like when I was pouring it, it didn't feel like glue, I really had to push at it. But as you can see here, clear glue acts like normal clear glue and just pours out very smoothly. I started by activating the gel glue first, and I literally loved the colour of this. It was so pretty, and I decided just to add a tiny bit at a time because I'd never used this and I was kind of just worried about it. And as you can see, it activated pretty much immediately. I only added a tiny bit more before I started playing with it and then it was pretty much ready. But with the clear glue you do need a lot more activator, and for both of them as well I'm using half a teaspoon of borax in 2 cups of warm water, and this is just so it doesn't get overactivated because these types of slimes tend to activate way faster. So we just want to stir this into our clear glue like normal, and the first thing I noticed was that the gel glue pulled together so much faster. So if you're usually one to overactivate, I would recommend using a slightly less concentrated mixture than I just recommended, maybe a quarter of a cup of borax, a quarter of a teaspoon of borax in 2 cups of warm water. Both of the mixtures turned out so clear. I love the colour of the gel glue one, and like you can see it's super clear, and so is the clear glue. I would say it's probably about the same clearness, and I think that the clear glue is a tiny bit thicker than the gel glue, but the gel glue has a really unique texture. Both of them are also really stretchy. Next up we have borax versus Starflow, and the first one I'm testing is Starflow. And if you're wondering why it comes in like a little pot, because you'll see a clear pot, I have a very bad habit of pouring everything into the bowl and on the carpet and the floor and just kind of everywhere, so I tend to put it into a smaller container just to prevent me from doing this. And when I was stirring it in, it wasn't hurting my arms at all. It was actually really fun, just because it was quite a watery mixture and it was just really soft and nice to play with. When I added my borax in, I realised that it was actually a much more concentrated solution than my Starflow. Obviously Starflow comes pre-made so you can't change that, but with borax you're adding as much powder as you want, and I'm using 2 teaspoons of borax in 2 cups of warm water, which is obviously a lot higher, so it activated a lot quicker. But I personally didn't really like how it felt when I was mixing it in. It didn't turn lumpy, but it was kind of really thick and hard to mix in, so it really hurt my arm. And it did take a while, probably the same amount of time as the Starflow, but the Starflow slime came out so much nicer. Like you can see here, it's just so glossy and it falls so nicely. It isn't thin at all, but it just has such a lovely texture, and considering I'm only adding glue here, I was so surprised. I thought it would just kind of be a hard one like this, which is the borax one, and this one was stretchy, but still it wasn't great, and I prefer the Starflow one so much more. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also subscribe, and don't forget to check out my website in the link below.